Hello. I want to discuss, of course, my book Full Circle, available on buyAyanaEllis.com and Amazon. If you did not get the book, go get it. Um, this book is about domestic violence, a young woman surviving domestic violence, myself surviving domestic violence, how I triumphed, things that I've gone through mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, all the leads and things like that. But it's not just about me, it's about you, it's about your mother, your sister, your daughter, your best friend, your girlfriend, your ex, someone that you love. And it can be men too, of course. But the book is just really it's just really good, and not just because I wrote it, but it's something that's relevant to talk about all the time. I know right now it's a big deal because unfortunately Cassie had to go through that, and Diddy and all of these celebrities and stuff. But you know what? We got to talk about the girls around the way that's going through it that nobody's talking about and nobody cares about. We got to talk about the people that are no name, that aren't celebrities, that aren't famous, that just get tossed to the wayside because who the fuck are they? Who cares about the girl from the projects? Who cares? She liked it because she listened to Chris Brown. She liked it because she stayed. If one thing comes out of this case, I hope that a lot of people, they're understanding how ignorant they sound when they say, "Why now? Why didn't you leave?" Like, I hope people really understand how dangerous it is in an abusive relationship. It's extremely dangerous to leave. Sometimes you feel like I might as well just stay. And we're not even going to toss in the psychological aspect of it all. Why you stay, why you still love that person, why you still want the best for that person in some instances, why you just feel remorse, Stockholm syndrome, anyone? But that is not what this episode is about. This episode is about, and honestly, I thought about it as I'm following the Diddy and the Diddy case closely, and just hearing things. Cassie had a friend that she was her best friend, and her best friend, they are no longer friends because Cassie was in this very abusive relationship, and then the friend ended up getting assaulted by Diddy. So it just brings me to the question: how do you survive a friendship with someone that's in an abusive or toxic relationship? How do you survive that? And when that friend ultimately ends that relationship, how do you feel about being friends with that person again? So, like in Full Circle, for example, the main character Corinne, which is based off of myself, she had a best friend. And although her best friend had some tendencies before Corinne got with this man, Monty, that began to abuse her, when Corinne ultimately got into this relationship with this man and things got really, 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 really bad between them, Missy kind of, I guess some will say, if you read the book, failed as a friend. Or some people may say she did the right thing, or some people may say she's foul, or some people, you decide what you think about Missy when you read the book and how she treated Corinne during this violent relationship, and just the outcome of their friendship as a result of Corinne being in this relationship. So when you have a loved one, a relative, whatever, that's in a toxic relationship, what do you think about reconciliation once that person is out of the relationship? And for those of you on the other end that you are the abused and you have a friend that walked out of your life, or a loved one that walked out of your life, someone you were extremely close with, like your bestie, your best friend, whoever, your sister, cousin, whoever that ride or die was for you, that no longer talks to you because of this relationship you're in. Will you accept them back into your life once your relationship is over and they're like, whew, glad you done with that, girl. I loved you. I miss you. I'm so sorry you went through that. And then they try to, come back into your life. How do you deal with that? And as the person that abandoned that friend that was in an abusive relationship, what would make you want to go back? Have you ever gone back? So here's my thoughts on it, since this is the topic and this is what happened in the book, and having experienced this in real life. So for me, and for most of us, when you are in an abusive relationship, you're isolated. Sometimes people don't even know. And in my case, people didn't know off the rip. Not my people. I lived amongst his people. So of course, his family, his friends, everybody over there knew what was going on. My people, didn't really find out until later. I think they started to grow suspicious. I was always around in a sense. And so when I, get into this relationship and I move in with him and all this type of stuff, I think it was just kind of like, damn, we ain't seen her around and things like that. So if I do come around, they noticed I was different. They noticed my demeanor was different. They noticed I was just very, whatever it looks like when you're in an abusive relationship and you try to clean up and go around your people. I could throw on all the jewelry, all the fly shit, all the things, but my soul wasn't right. My personality was off. Who I was not shining through. So it was very easy to realize something was off with me, because I'm one way all day to this day. You know what I mean? So if I'm not that, something going on. And so coupled with the fact that, I would have bruises that I thought were healed when I would go around my people, but they was very, faded and faint residue of bruises and things like that. So pretty much people started to pick up, and then they started to, see him for who he really was and realize he wasn't a nice person. His temperament, everything about him, everything about us screamed, this nigga's crazy and he putting hands on her, right? It was so long ago, I may have confided in a friend or two. I don't really remember, to be honest, but I do know that it got to a point where people knew. And in my situation, the people that were closest to me, they talked about me. They weren't very supportive. They talked about me and all that type of stuff, right? And I can't even say that, I think time and distance, while I was in that situation, I was so busy trying to survive. And then once I got out of that situation, I was so busy. I didn't even think I was trying to heal. Back then, I didn't know about heal. I was just trying to move on, put it behind me. And then it wasn't until later on in life, things started to manifest in my life. It made me realize, girl, you ain't never get no help for this traumatic shit that you went through. You just buried it. If you eat too much food, eventually you're going to throw it back up. And I had absorbed so much. Eventually I regurgitated it in my life to everybody, whoever was around me at whatever period and era of my life. It just started to show, girl, you need some type of help. Like you got to go see the lady, because what exactly is going on here? And I think as time went on, people started to come back into my life that I guess I could say abandoned me when I needed them most. I never really looked at it as, why are you back here? Why are you talking to me now? I kind of understand people not knowing how to support you during a time like this. What I will not make excuses for is people that dog you and talk shit about you and spread your business when you're going through something like this, because the same energy that it takes to pick up the phone and call someone else and say, this bitch is dumb, you know what she's going through, it takes that same amount of time to pick up the phone and call 911 and say, go do a wellness check on such and such, because I feel like she's being abused by her partner. So that's the one thing I don't respect. But especially when you're young, you don't really have the bandwidth or the capacity to know how to support somebody that's in an abusive relationship. I can't really say that for everybody, because when I was young, I did have a friend that was in an abusive relationship, and I was pretty much jumping on her boyfriend back. Maybe it was a little safer because her boyfriend was kind of like a brother to me. We were very close. May he rest in peace. But he and I were very close. So it was just kind of like, jumping on his back, putting him in the full Nelson, like, yo, get off my friend. And like, yo, you bugging, and talking like, yo, why you treating her like that? And talking to her like, why you letting him treat you like that? And then ironically enough, I ended up in that situation with someone that people weren't familiar with, so I didn't have nobody to check him, and the people around him wasn't checking him, and everybody else was just kind of like, whoa. So I guess it just really depends, you know. I don't agree with dragging people, because you got to really think, who would choose to stay in an abusive relationship? Who would choose that? And once again, the one thing about this Diddy case is that it's bringing to light how this whole situation works. It's bringing to light, damn, I see why she didn't leave. I see what, like, the traps in your mind and in your soul. It's not even about your heart anymore, because it's not love anymore. Now it's fear, it's betrayal, it's embarrassment. It's so many things that has nothing to do with love. Why an abuser stays in a relationship. If you're older and you're a woman of age or man of age and things like that, it's just a wonder why these men don't check their friends or their family members when they are being abusive or disrespectful to a woman. I am not surprised. It's just sad to hear how many men, and I guess because he had money and all this type of stuff and power, and, you know, he's really powerless. When you think about it, it was all just money and people wanting to keep their jobs and not wanting to be hungry and shit, and selfishness. How grown men sat around and allowed this man to treat this woman this way, to treat all the women around him that way. And if you didn't want to step in, why didn't you step out? Why would you even still want to be associated with and friends with a man, a monster that will treat women this way? Right? It doesn't make sense to me, you know. Again, when I was in that situation, yeah, there was men, nothing but men around, to be honest. There was nothing but men around, and they just watched. They didn't want no parts, and they minded their business, and they hung around him, and they came around him, and it was what it was, and they would check on me. Yo, you okay? You all right? You feeling sorry for me and all of that? And it's like, I don't need you to feel sorry for me. I need you to knock this nigga out to show him he don't treat a woman that way. I need you to check this nigga and say, yo, you my boy and all that, but what you doing is foul. What you're doing is foul, and I'm not fucking with you. And if I find out you putting your hands on this young lady or this girl again, me and you gonna have problems. Like, why don't men step up? I would never understand, because I'm not a man. I know I can never sit around and see a loved one of mine, a woman, being assaulted by her man. Like, I don't know what I would do. When I was younger, you jumping on his shoulders and all that, I wasn't really thinking, because nowadays a man will turn around and kill you for trying to defend your friend. But I digress. But in any event, what would you do? What would you do? You know, in full circle, Missy definitely wasn't giving ride or die. Missy definitely wasn't being a good friend. Many people, many readers have said, when I had my book signing on April 5th, a lot of people had read the original, you know, so they kind of understood the concept. This is the remix. But in any event, a lot of people was like, yo, that Missy bitch was foul. But was she really? Was she really? I mean, her actions may have been very hurtful, because when you are in an abusive relationship, you want somebody to ride or die with you no matter what. Like, I know this is hard, but do not turn your back on me. Don't close your door. Don't take your phone off the hook. Please always answer the phone when I call. Please always open your door no matter how many times I knock to be able to lay on your couch. Please, just please be there for me. I don't care how long. Yes, that's what we want. That's what we need. But is that really reality? It takes a village, because one person, one friend can't bear the weight of what you're going through, right? One friend can't be the only one that's taking all this in. So it's like, where's the village? Where's the village to say, we got to support Corinne. We got to support Ayana. We got to support Tisha, Lisa, Pamela, Angela, Renee. You know what I'm saying? Where's the village to say we got to support her if she needs us? We're there. Well, I think that because a lot of people say she's stupid. She deserved it. She must want it. She must like it. That's why she stayed. A lot of people have that mentality. So they say, hey, my hands are tied. I don't want nothing to do with it. My name is Bennett and I'm not in it. And I think that's very unfortunate. My take on should you take a friend back if they abandoned you when you were in an abusive relationship? My take on it is, as long as they weren't dragging you, blaming you, spreading misinformation, talking shit about you, allowing other people to talk shit about you, like if they just stepped away because they were genuinely heartbroken and they just did not know what to do. They just did not know what to do. And they came back around and they expressed that to you. Like, listen, girl, I just didn't know. And you feel it in your spirit that is genuine. And y'all were really like that before this relationship. Forgive your friend. Forgive your friend. Heal. Talk about it. Be honest. Tell your friend, it hurt me so bad when you left. It hurt me so bad when you turned your back. Allow her or him to explain what they were going through, seeing you go through what you went through. You in turn express how it made you feel. Both of y'all gotta understand each other. Both of y'all have to understand each other, forgive each other, and heal together. Talk about it, talk about it, talk about it, talk about it until it's out y'all's system. Recreate that bond, build that bond, trust each other again, and really just have a conversation with one another about, listen, when I need you, when I need you, you can't abandon me again like this. You understand what I'm saying? Y'all gotta have the open communication and talk to one another and reconcile. Yes, I 1000%. I have forgiven so many people in my life for wrongdoing. Some I shouldn't have. But I had to practice prayer and discernment and do a lot of soul searching and things like that to say, I shouldn't have forgave that motherfucker. And if I did forgive that person, that don't mean I have to bring them back into my life. It's trial and error. But in a situation like this, an abusive, it's hard. It's hard. Like if somebody really, really, really loves you, can you imagine them feeling helpless, being unable to help you come up out of that situation? It's hard. I think, if people stick around, a lot of them have something to gain from your abuser. And it's extra hard because the abuser gets all the support. The abuser gets all the community. And the abusee just gets shamed. We just get shamed for it. But the abuser, they always go scot-free. Nobody really dogs the abuser for being a monster. It's always, well, why she stayed? Well, why this? Well, why that? And they question us. And it's like, are y'all not going to question why this Negro is fucking crazy? Are y'all not going to question him? Like, are you dumb? Ooh, I get so upset. Because it's so unfair. It's really unfair. Forgive your friend. Forgive your loved one. Forgive that person for not knowing how to support you. Only if, and I stand on this, only if you know for a fact they wasn't dogging you, dragging you, slandering you, blaming you, spreading misinformation, talking shit about you behind your back. If that was the case, you can't come back around. You should never befriend or let anybody back into your life, in your circle, that has slandered and talked wild shit about you behind your back. That you should just never. I don't give a fuck what happens. No, you could forgive, but you gotta forget them. Like, forgive for the benefit of you, but it's fuck them for life. I stand on that. Like, nah, you can't just be out there talking crazy about me and then want to come back around and say sorry. Wait, you gonna have to get on the socials and put out a PSA. Because what happens is, you look like a clown, Because everybody know this person was dragging you for filth. And then you forgive this person. And you're like, okay, now y'all out taking pictures, hanging out. And everybody's just like, well, what in the devil is going on here? She fucked with this person again after this person. Anybody got time for all that? Anybody got time for all of that? So I think when you leave an abusive relationship, a part of healing is also forgiving your community and the people around you, and just the people that mean something to you. Because not everybody that was around matters, but you know in your heart who the people are that mean something to you. And a part of healing is definitely understanding why they reacted the way that they did, and why they may have took a step back, and why you may have felt lonely and abandoned and all those things. They felt lonely and abandoned too. They felt like, damn, my friend is letting this person ruin their life. That's what they're thinking, right? It's not you're letting them, but it's happening, right? And they're just like, I can't, there's nothing I can do about this. They like your loved ones can't compete with a manipulative abuser. They can't. So a conversation needs to be had, understanding, healing, and all that. So to all of you out there that have lost friends and loved ones and besties and ride or dies as a result of being in an abusive relationship, I hope and pray that you come full circle. You come full circle and you get the people that mean something to you back in your life. Because one thing about abusers, they're going to try to make you lose every fucking thing, including the people that love you and that you love the most. Because they want to isolate you, beat you down, break you until you have nothing, so that they can just kick you to the fucking curb and move on to their next victim. Don't let these abusers snatch your loved ones from you and snatch your most precious relationships from you. All right? Until the next episode, y'all. Y'all be great.